Welcome back.
Welcome to part 2 of this episode.
2.
So y'all heard us in the previous episode, part 1 of this episode, where we were talking about how the whole idea of relinquishing control can be a whole episode. Here we are.
Absolutely.
If you're new to this channel, this is the You're Not Crazy podcast.
Or maybe you are, but you're in good company.
Yes, you are. We're going to hop right into this, okay?
Yes.
I really am excited about this topic because I'm actually in a book club with one of our good friends, Alexis.
Yeah.
We're reading this book, which I had to be honest with them the other day. I said, y'all, I haven't gotten into this book like I was supposed to. Everybody, chapter 4. And I'm like, I'm going to go listen. I got it on audiobook. I'm going to go back and listen to it. But it's a book it's called The Cost of Control. And I just think this is a really good topic to talk about because coming from two people who identify as control, I don't want to say control freak, but people who are in need for control, I think it's a good topic to talk about because talking about it helps you identify. Just having the conversation helps you later when in the relationships where you feel like you need to have control. Just having that conversation will be able to pop back up in your head and say, I just talked about this, Tim. Don't do that. Don't do that. I think for me, one of the things that I said, the reason why I feel like I have to control things is because of anxiety. For me, I have found in situations where I feel like I need to control it, it's because in fear of having anxieties or I'm already anxious about it. For example, we had a dear loved one pass away recently and the funeral happened and I chose not to go. Because I couldn't, with the pregnancy, I can't control how long the funeral is. I can't control the traffic on how getting out. You know, funerals usually be packed. You gotta wait till people pull out. You gotta wait till I couldn't control that. I couldn't control the smells in the room. And with the pregnancy, there are so many things that can trigger things for me. I couldn't control the emotions. And I already get anxious at funerals. So I knew as much as I wanted to be there and be there for the people who, this was their father or their loved one or whatever, I personally knew that wasn't a good choice for me and part of that was because of the control. I couldn't control those things. I know with my kids, I have a lot of control when it comes to them. And that's what we were talking about in the other episode. Not being able to control what environment they're in. Not being able to see, okay, what's happening? What's going on? I leave my kids with my parents quite often. And I trust my parents. I know that's their other parents. Those are their grandparents. So I know my children are getting top quality care. But I still have so much anxiety when I have to leave them because I'm like, for me, it's not about what my parents are going to do. You know, what if they get in a car accident or what if they have to rush, one of the babies to the ER? Well, she did it with me. You know what I'm saying? So she could totally do it with them. But it's the idea that I can't be there to control how it's happening. And it's actually debilitating because every time when we go back home to my parents and I know within a day or two, I'm going to be leaving them behind and coming back home, I get very anxious. And Cody can usually tell because I get quiet and I don't really say much because my brain is... And I have to silence the voice in my head. And I have to say, Tamara. And my therapist always tell me, what are the facts? Your mother is capable of keeping them. They're safe. They're in a place where you trust. They're with people you trust.
Because you wouldn't have left them if you...
And whether they're with you or not, stuff can happen regardless.
Regardless, yeah.
And I have to literally talk to God and say, Lord, I need you. I need your peace. Because the peace I got right now, it ain't.
It's a peace.
It's just a peace. That's it. And I thank God because the morning that I woke up when we were going to leave them, I was real calm. But I told babe, I said, we got to go. I was rushing him. I was like, we got to go. Because I feel calm right now and I don't want it to pick up. We got to go. We got to go. And I think for me, that's where a lot of it is based out of. Even when it comes to Center Stage, our business, I have a lot of control issues there. And it's because we're two Black women running this nonprofit organization, doing something unorthodox here in the city. And it's already hard enough fighting to be young and then to be Black, and then to be woman. We have all of these things piled up on top of it. You know what I'm saying? And people automatically assume a certain thing about you because of, you know, what we represent. But I think for me, a lot of it has to do with, I don't want it to fail.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it fails, it all falls back on me. Everybody's looking at me, the founder of this thing, to say.
They explain it and tell the same story over and over about what happened. And
it's nothing fun about that. Sometimes I have so much anxiety, it no longer becomes fun for me or enjoyable.
mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, yes, it stresses me out. I was talking to Cody about it stresses me out, but I don't ever wake up going, oh, I do not want to go to work today. I just don't feel like getting up.
Mm-hmm.
But going into work, it doesn't feel like a job.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like I'm just doing what I'm supposed to be doing, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't feel like how it did when I was working in the school district.
Oh, Lord.
It doesn't feel like it did when I was working on somebody else's job.
Mm-hmm.
It's so different. But then, because it's mine, it's like
all the additional pressure that you didn't have to have, now you do have. I get it. I definitely get it. I didn't realize how bad my control was until having children.
Mm-hmm.
And possibly getting married. But honestly, I think both.
Yeah.
Because I think the beautiful and the most difficult thing about being married and having children is that it really does hold a mirror up to you.
Bruh.
And it makes you face all the stuff that you didn't even know you needed to face. Because
I think about Mulan. Look at me.
Yes. But sometimes I'm like, no, I don't want to look at me.
I don't look.
Because when you're single and living alone, or even if you're living with a roommate, like, you still know, you don't say things to aggravate yourself because you know it's going to aggravate you.
Mm-hmm.
But that other person is having to learn how to be in your space. You're having to learn how to be in their space. And then added on children. Oh, Lord Jesus. And I think that's the hardest part, is having to deal more with me than having to, like, facilitate lifestyle or whatever. But I remember this day as if it happened yesterday. It was, I think we had maybe been home with the twins maybe 2 weeks. Like, it was still very fresh, and my mom was there. And she would go home on the weekends and then come back during the week. And then on this particular time, Norman was home. And the way that his maternity leave time was a little weird. So he had to spread his amount of time out. So he would be home for these many days. But then him and my mom would coordinate or whatever. So sometimes both of them were there, and sometimes it was just one or the other. But my mom was doing something. I think it was either with feeding the kids or with something. And I remember I kept asking questions and be like, okay, well then do this, giving all these directives. And my husband turned and looked at me and said, baby, she's raised children before. Like, she's going to be okay. And as calming as that could have been, it was not. I was infuriated because in my mind, and this is exactly what I told him.
I think I remember this.
Yes. He was like, baby, she's raised kids before. I said, but these are my kids. Wonderful. And I remember, like, he looked at me like maybe I didn't hear him. He was like, but baby, she's raised kids again. And I said, congratulations. But those are mine. And this is how we're going to do it. Her kids are grown because I'm one of them. You're telling me something I already know. I asked her, like, how did your kids turn out? I know how we turned out. We're both in therapy, but I know how we turned out. So, like, we're both, all of our fingers and toes. I understand. Like, yes, she kept us alive. Wonderful. We're both self-sufficient adults. Yes. Wonderful. But once again, I didn't ask her for her resume. Mm-hmm. I didn't ask for any of the job qualifications. If I didn't feel like she was qualified, she wouldn't be here. So I know what she can do. But I also know she can follow instructions because she taught me how to. I need for y'all to make sure that because I'm like, why are you talking to me, sir? I didn't ask her for that because I'm like, I get that. That's wonderful because, I love my mama and I trust her with my life and with theirs. However, I want it done a certain way. And I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting it done a certain way, but it was very debilitating. And I was extremely it was really bad. Norman sometimes would look at me and be like, you do understand that I'm here to help because I'm your husband. those are my children too. I'm just not here to just be at your beck and call or here to just do whatever it is you want to do. Like, we are a team. Let me help. Let me assist. Let me give my feedback. I don't think that's going to make the most sense. That's too many steps. Let me give some feedback. And it took a minute for me to take it on, because a lot of it came from fear of failure, because I felt like I already failed. And a lot of it was because the checklist that I had for my life, I wasn't checking the things off. You know what I mean? Like, the only thing I did was go to school, get my degree, and graduate. And I got married. And I started working at the school district. Wonderful. All of those things. But I had other things on my checklist that I wanted to achieve, and I wasn't able to achieve them. I had started getting my master's before even having the children. And I literally had a full meltdown during that. I couldn't do it. I made one C my entire time in college. One. And it was in a science class, because that wasn't my forte. I literally made one. Like, when I graduated, I got a medal, and I didn't even know that my GPA was good, but I got a medal or whatever because my GPA was so good when I graduated from college, which shocked everybody, including me. But I think what was frustrating for me is that I did not take into account the school that I was working at. I was working at a Title I school. I was working in special ed. And it's not that Title I schools are bad. It's just what comes with it. There's more paperwork. Sometimes you feel like you're alone on an island, because you don't have all the community support that you should have. And a lot of times, a lot of the responsibilities are put back on the teachers and the administration. And we are all worn out, while also having to deal with families and who just cannot show up to all of the parent stuff. They can't always provide, school supplies. And so it comes with so much more that people don't think about. And so working that, being a new teacher, working in special ed. So not only am I trying to figure out what I'm doing, I'm also now having to write IEPs, which are like legal contracts, pretty much, that if I do something wrong, it could cost me not just my job, but my degree. Like, I could lose my license. Like, all of that pressure. I didn't realize I was feeling all of that pressure while also now being married, trying to figure out what that looks like. All of the stuff that I went through trying to get married to this amazing man, and going through hell, not with him, but with other people, trying to prove myself to be worthy to be married to him. So now I'm trying to be married to him, prove all the other people wrong, show up at work, show up for him. And now I'm getting my master's. And when I got my first C, I had a complete meltdown, because I remember writing a paper and writing an IEP at the same time one night, and falling asleep on the bed, and just all of those different things. So when I felt like, okay, I failed all of those things, I am not going to fail them. And I felt like I had a duty to be the perfect mother, since I failed at doing everything else. If I'm honest, I don't think I have fully healed from that. I think I'm like slowly crawling out of that, but that was very debilitating. And the way that it showed up was me being hyper controlling about everything. And going home, like when we would go home and visit my family, for my husband, that was like a vacation in some ways. Like, he'd be like, okay, the grandparents got it. He sits back and he relaxes and just lets the grandparents have their time. And it comes from a place of, they're here to see them. They're not here to see us parent. They're here to enjoy their grandkids, and the grandkids are here to enjoy their grandparents. They don't get that every day. So for him, he's let me step back and give them the space to be grandparents. And rightfully so. But in my mind, I'm like, no, but we have a schedule, because grandparents like to let children stay up until 11 o'clock and watch movies. We have a schedule. They need to be in bed by this time, because in my mind, all I'm thinking is, but now I have to break it when we get back home. You know what I mean? Now we got to get back on our sleep routine, get back on these other routines. And we just keep the routine. We don't have to get back on nothing. Y'all can enjoy movies during the day, but lights out are at 8. Congratulations. All right, but my husband, I would be looking at him like, do you not see what time it is? And he's looking like, yes. And your parents also see what time it is, and they know how to bathe children. And I'm like, but they're not doing it. So it looks like we need to step up and bathe the kids. And he's looking at me like, they're not doing it because they're doing stuff with them, And so it's
hard.
It's real hard. And I know sometimes my family, they're probably just now starting to see Norman I guess, not really speak up, but my husband is he's just whatever. But I tell my family all the time, I'm like, do y'all really think I would marry somebody who can't handle me? Mm-hmm. Come on now. Mm-hmm. I know I'm extra, but I'm not going to, just because he quiet don't mean he can't.
And that's what I used to say about
when
Chloe.
I tell you, Norman get me all the way together or completely ignores me.
It's either one or the other.
One or the other. When I tell you, I have gone off one time and he literally was acting as if I wasn't even talking to him. And I like literally felt like
I know you can be talking to you.
Yes. And I was like, Norman. And he was like, what? I said, did you hear me? He said, yes.
I heard everything you said. Now.
And I was just like, are you going to respond? And one time he told me no. And I was like, so you're not going to say nothing? And he said, no. Did you not hear me say no the first time?
I said no.
No.
Turn your listening ears on.
No. And I was just like, well, fine. I guess we're just not going to deal with it. And he was like, I don't like
just put me all the way.
Slightly a turn on, but because it's kind of just like, did you just tell me what to do, sir?
I ain't even fooling with you right now. Because you acting a whole mess. Yeah, child. And it's so true because I think I was doing the same thing. And it's so funny. As long as I've known you, I didn't know I knew that we had similar stories, but just hearing that part, I'm like, I forgot all about that. And I get it. We put so much pressure on ourselves. Because I was first-time wife, first-time mom, in the master's program, and a first-time teacher. Each of those things really should be done
separately. You need at least like 6 months between just to figure out how to.
And my first counseling session, my therapist looked me in my face and said, it was a simple question. She said, why did you feel like you had to do all of those things at the same time? And I looked at her and I literally was like, I don't know. I was just like,
I had a checklist, honey. I had timelines. I was supposed to have my doctorate.
Honey, it was all of these things.
I was supposed to be a doctor. But I even mapped it out to where if I do this course and at this time, I can have my doctorate by the time I'm 28. But if I do this one, I won't have my doctorate until I'm 30. So I had it down to a T. Like I knew exactly what I was going to do. I knew I wanted to teach for 8 years, no more than 8 years, because I wanted to be getting my master's so they can pay for it and go ahead and get, my money. And so I was like, I'll teach for the 8 years. And while that, I'll get my master's. They can pay for my master's or I'll be tenured. And so then I'll use that money to pay back my student loans. I'll go ahead and finish all of that. During that, I'll have my children. And then while I'm also doing that, then I'll go ahead and start this program because this particular program, I was like, we may have to move, but we'll figure that out.
But think about it this way.
All of it.
How insulting is that to God? Like, when we...
Tam, don't say that.
It's insulting because we sit up here...
I don't have the emotional capacity.
We sit up here and we make all these plans and we don't ask him nothing. And then we get mad when it don't play out how it want to.
Because you saw the checklist.
I wrote it down.
I literally had it written down. I had it in the front of my journal.
I'm very shocked it was not highlighted with different colors.
It was not, but it had bullet points and dashes, and the dashes had who I need to contact, where it was, what was the class. I had already contacted people, calling people. Like I literally had everything planned out.
I have notebooks with things planned out just like that. And it's so funny because God is looking at us like, you trying to control a situation that I've already planned out.
That I've already planned out.
And it's sad because in society, especially in the Black community, you're not deemed successful unless you've gone through and you've gotten your master's and you've gotten
because we've had to be better. We've had to be better than good. Everybody else could be okay. Mm-hmm. We had to be the best to even get with the people that are recognition. Yes, like we had to be the best and still be treated like the people who are just okay.
And the program I went through, we went to the same college. We were in two different programs. We both were education majors, but the bachelor's program, I was a theater ed major. So we were in education classes together. And then when we got to the core of it, that's where we split. Mm-hmm. But even in the program I was in, I had to fight. Because, you had all these people who looked down on the Black students and say, They ain't doing nothing.
You don't know Shakespeare.
You don't know any of this stuff.
How dare you?
And it was sad for me because it was like, man, I got to keep my head down and I just got to focus, because there was already an assumption about the type of student we were going to be. And a lot of us defied the mess out of that. You know what I'm saying? But I think too,
they probably think you just want no skills for reality TV anyway.
Yeah. Oh, you ain't about nothing.
To really do nothing.
You know what I'm saying? But when I think the core of where I'm getting, I feel Holy Spirit saying this to me is, when we relinquish control, it's not just in our relationships with people. We have to relinquish control with Him. Mm-hmm. And that's where that reverence and that honor to say, God, I surrender to you. But a lot of us only surrender certain portions of our life. Mm-hmm. God.
Like we're doing Him a favor. Like, I'll give this.
Lord, to you can have this. And He's like, no, I want it all
of it
or nothing. And and it's hard because to have that amount of faith, you really have to be in tune with God to say, God, I don't know where this is going, but you're in control. Because a lot of times when I look back over my life, and I think about the situations where I fully gave it to God, He superseded
completely
my expectations more than my brain. When they say He will do above what you can think or imagine, baby, when I tell you, God has done exceedingly
abundantly
above all. And when I tell you, I have gotten to a place now where when I feel myself getting worked up, Cody and I have been going through, and I've shared this with you personally. We've been going through some things financially. We got a new baby on the way. Right now we're in the place in our business where we're not really making no money. We're making sure we're paying our employees so we can still, and eventually that time will get there. But we have a lot of moving pieces happening right now. And I had gotten to the point where I was like, Lord, I don't know. And He told me at the very beginning of this pregnancy, He said, during this pregnancy, you're going to have to be patient and you're going to have to trust me. And that sounded very, typical. Oh, Lord, but I didn't realize He meant in every situation and stuff that didn't even have nothing to do with the pregnancy. And I'm like, Lord, okay, you really meant that thing. I don't want to go through this no more. I'm good, Lord. I'm good. I'm done with the testing of the patience.
I'm done with the testing of the patience. That sounds like something straight at home, but I completely understand it, and that resonated with thine soul.
I'm done. I told him, and he was like, "Oh, you ain't done until I say you're done." And I'm like, "Okay," but the end result, man, the stuff He's doing behind the scenes, I can feel it. I can feel it, and then the stuff He's doing that He's just showing, He just been getting a sneak peek. Like, I got you. Little things have been happening. Some stuff, personally, I don't necessarily want to share here, but little things that have been happening. It's okay, Lord, I see you. Okay.
I got it.
Small little things here and there. So, okay, that's what you meant. Okay, Lord, I'm going to be quiet.
I have been, which we talked about this, I think, yesterday. Right now, I'm frustrated. So I'm having to retrain myself to relinquish, because for me, we have been busting our butts, and it feels like for nothing. And I know it's not for nothing, but I'm not going to continue to bust my butt. And me and my husband literally just it's like sometimes we coming and going, and I feel like we're doing so much to then still have to penny pinch, or then still have to worry about, certain things. And it's like, for me, I'm like, it's going to be one or the other. Because I realized this about myself probably a few years ago. I am not a grinder. Does that make sense? You know, that whole grind community thing. I don't ascribe to that. That doesn't work well for me. And the reason why is because if you're grinding on this, you're missing out on something else. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I would much rather be present for my children, or make sure that there's dinner on the table or whatever, than staying up and like doing all of these things.
Well, I don't even think there was a grinding culture, a hustle culture that kind of went. You can't do that and be a parent.
Not an effective one.
Not an effective one. And if you are, Like you said, something is lacking, something is missing. And I'm going to be present for my babies and for my husband and for myself. Yes.
And I think that's, for me, I can't do that. But I do know, you have to work hard for the things that you want, or that you need, or that you are passionate about. Mm-hmm. Nothing's just going to be sat on your lap. And even if it is just sat in your lap, you still have there's some type of work required to maintain that. I think my frustration is like, God, I know you better than this. And I, in some ways, expect better. And he's kind of turned it around on me, because he's like, and I expect you to trust me. And I expect you to have faith. You say that you're going to have it, but you can't just say something, you have to show it, which is something I'm having to teach my children now. It's not enough to just say sorry. It's not enough to just, say something. They're going through that whole, but I want to. And so I have to tell them.
And I'll be like, but you want to sit down now.
Yeah.
Before you get popped in your lips.
That. But I have to tell them all the time, it's not enough to say you want it. Show me that you want it. If you don't want this, then do this. It's that simple. And it does not require words. It only requires action. But as a parent, I can say that. But as a person, I have to also understand that also is true when it comes to relinquishing control to God. Because a lot of times for me, it's, well, God, I trusted you with this, and this is the result that I got. I ain't like that result, and it doesn't feel comfortable. I'm going to hold on to this until you can show me, oh, that's so terrible. But until you can fix this, I'm going to hold on to this, because I can't give this to you until you show me that you can fix this here. And
it's sad, because he is the fixer. He's the ultimate. And we don't.
It's hard, though. It's so difficult. And I think what makes it more difficult for me is that I know it's not just me that's depending on me. If it were just me, then me falling down, bumping my head and getting back up is different. But if I'm having to fall down and bump my head while also having to make sure that you don't fall and bump and hit yours, that I can't afford to do that. So I'm like, Lord, it's not just me relying on you anymore. Like, my children are relying on me. My husband is relying on me, for different things. So I don't have the space to drop the ball. You know what I mean? It's, I do, but I don't. So I need for you to do this so they can rely on me. Right now, what's happening is they can't rely on me. So I'm trying to understand how this is computing to me trusting you. I'm trying to understand how this all works together. And that is it's a really hard place to be in. But at the same time, I feel like there is a beauty that will come out of it, because I know at some point he's just going to be like, boom. And I'll be like,
I'm going to shift for a second, because I feel Holy Spirit telling me to do something.
Lord Jesus, Tam.
I just want to.
Tam.
Listen, I want to tell you this.
Turn off the recording.
No, we're going to record this.
No.
This is what I want to say to you. First of all, I want to tell you that you are so beautiful.
Damn.
And I love you. And I'm so glad. You better not get up and walk off. I'm so glad that you're in my life. But I want to tell you that you're doing a good job, Anna. You are doing a good job. And not only that, but I hear Holy Spirit saying, well, first of all, I'll say this. I'm very proud of you, because you don't do this. You don't open up and talk. Like you said, you are a fortress.
I am a fortress.
But people, Anna, you have so much inside of you. So much. Some of the things you say, we could literally just do a whole edit of you, just the nuggets that you drop. I don't think you hear yourself when you're talking, but people need to hear your story. They do.
Okay.
People need to hear your story. They need to hear, there's healing, literally healing power coming out of your mouth. Your testimony, your story. And I know that you have to be protective of who you share it with, but people need to hear that. People need to hear what you've gone through, because people have an assumption. Anna's husband is pretty much a mayor of the city without being the mayor of the city. We love him dearly. That's my pumpkin. I love me some Norman. But there's things that come along with that. You feel like you have to be perfect, and people I have watched people assume things about Anna. People have asked me stupid, ignorant questions. And I'm like, first of all, I'm not going to tell you none of that, because that's none of your business. And then second of all, like, people just make assumptions. And so being under that pressure is already difficult. But for people to really truly see you, not Norman's wife, but Anna, not Matthew and Tori's mom, but Anna. And I think too, I think at the end of the day, when you start opening up, literally healing, these conversations are healing for me. And I think that's why I'm always talking to you like, girl, I started to text you last night, but I knew you were asleep. But I am, because but you have so much to give. And I know so many times I'm just not going to say nothing. But sometimes in those moments, you have to say something because people need to hear that voice. You have a presence that when you start talking, deliverance is coming to people. So you have to. You can't keep shying away. And I'm not the only one who said it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying from personal experience and from what I hear Holy Spirit saying, but you are beautiful. And I'm honored to be your friend. I told Anna not the other day, probably like 6 months ago, I was terrified to say this because I have had some really traumatic experience in friendships. And when I was going through, I was telling my therapist probably about 2 years ago, I was like, I just want a best friend. I want a friend where I feel like we get each other. And I was talking about some stuff and this is no slight to anybody because I do have people, I have like maybe one or two of the people that I consider my best friends or really close people in my life. But I didn't have anybody physically here where we are. And my therapist looked at me one day and she says, it sounds like Anna's that for you. And I was like, that was scary for me because I'm like,
both of us. Yeah.
I don't know how to accept that because if I accept that, then Anna's going to get all of me. And I'm scared to give her all of me because she might run away. She might leave because I'm a lot. And when I started giving her all of me, she stayed. And I was like, oh. And even Cody was like, babe, Anna's your best friend. And I'm like, I feel like we're best friends, but that's just really, I don't want to have that conversation because it was scary. It was nothing against Anna. No. It was just scary. It was so scary. And finally, probably 6 months ago, I was like, Anna, I think you're my best friend. She's like, yeah. I mean, and we laugh about it, but it just, to say that meant that it had to be true. And it being true meant,
it comes with something because I intentionally only have
2.5 friends.
Yes. Well, I was about to say, but I intentionally me and I have 2 best friends. Okay. But
that is so scary. I don't know why it's so scary.
Because I've been manipulated and taken advantage of so much by people who were supposed to be my friends that I also realize that I'm not the best friend because I put up a wall. And so I'm not the friend that's always calling and checking. I'm not the friend that's like, I'm just not. And it's not because I'm not thinking about you. It's not that I don't care. I haven't allowed myself to fall, if that makes sense.
But the beauty about our friendship, we've always been friends.
Yes.
But the beauty about our friendship is God took me through dealing with rejection before we got as close as we did. And he took me through dealing with, the controlling relationships that I had, but also dealing with the insecurities of feel like I need to be around people all the time. And Anna's not a hanger-outer, if that's a word. She will, but that's not her first thought. It's, let's go hang out. She'll come if you invite her, but that's not her thing. But I was the ultimate hanger-outer.
Your house was the hangout spot.
It was the hangout spot. And baby, when COVID hit, the Lord really started showing me, sis, you don't really like people like you think you do. I'm a people person. But when COVID hit, I was like, this is peace. I've never experienced peace like this before. No drama. Nobody's in my house. I'm not cooking for anybody. And people just leaving plates all over my house and not offering to clean up or offering anything towards the meal. What is this? I don't know how to act. And the Lord showed me very quickly, you're not as extroverted as you think you are. And I was like, oh. And then he started showing me, you don't be by yourself because you don't like the silence because now you got to deal with Tamara. And when he started dealing with Tamara,
Ooh.
The healing came.
That's the part.
And that's the and that's the thing. And like, let me tell you something about me and Anna's relationship. There is no room for control here because there literally isn't. And in our friendship, I promise you, we're not perfect. We have our moments. I'm aggravated. She's aggravated. And I could tell when she's aggravated, I leave her alone. She could tell when I am. She leaves me alone. And we keep it moving.
Pretty much.
And then sometimes we just got to say it. You know what I'm saying? Tam. She's just like, Tam. I'm like, okay. But for me, one thing about our friendship is we are both in the same place. And so I don't get offended when she says, hey, I can't make it. Girl, I get it. Or, girl, my phone was in the bathroom and I was in the kitchen cleaning up. Sorry I missed your call. I don't get offended by that. I'll let go of your hand. I don't get offended. Or if she says, hey, now's not a good time. Or vice versa. If she's, hey, I was going to come over later. And I'm like, probably, let's do. For instance, the time we came up with this, she set a time that worked for her. She said, if that doesn't work, we could do it another time. That's, I think, the beauty of it. I'm not saying that you have to be friends with people that are going through the same thing. Because, both of our other best friends are not in the places that we're in at all. But they still are friends. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't necessarily mean that you can't be friends with someone who's not in the same place you do. But also it is beneficial to have at least one friend who gets it because it's okay. You really understand. Like you get it. If I say, I'm tired
is like a full paragraph. There's not, I'm tired literally is the header and like bullet points. But
you're growing because Anna sent me a large paragraph the other day, and I was shocked. I said, "Oh, I'm not used to this. You are truly growing, sis." She sent a large paragraph. I said, and Cody was like, he said, "Who is that?" I said, "That was Anna." He said, "Oh," I'm reading it because I think she sent it late, and normally Anna's phone is on Do Not Disturb. Like, I know if I text her late, she's going to respond in the morning.
Yes.
And so I was so tickled, but I was like, Anna, it's growing. She said, it was large. I have never, unless she's talking, okay, so what we can do is we can do blue curtains with the, like if she's talking about something like that, like design stuff, because Anna's Miss Designer right here. Oh. But that paragraph, and I was like, oh. And then I was like, I don't even know what to say. I get you, sis. I'm here if you need me.
Well, the funny thing is, it was like after I sent it, I was like, and we're done. Yeah.
Okay, now that's that.
Now that's out. That's it. I realized some of that is probably true. My dad is a man of few words. And I think part of me,
besides when he's being petty,
he's extremely petty. But he even does that in a few words. And my dad is the type of person that, like, he walks in, he says something petty, drops a bomb, and then walks out of the room. And it's just like, sir, you can't just leave us now to just hold it.
He really is a man of few words.
He really is. But he doesn't say more than what he has to. Yeah. We can sit here and talk for hours if we need to. But if we don't,
he's okay with
and
that.
I think I've also become okay with, I think that was one of the comfortable things about my husband as well. And that I find in friends is like, my dad is who got me on HGTV and food shows. But he would be sitting in his chair watching them. I would walk in the room and sit on the couch and we would sit and watch. No talking required. Same. But it felt like we were communing together and it didn't require anything else. I would go in the kitchen, get a snack or something. He would go into the kitchen, get him a snack. But there was no talking required, but we got it. And it was like, sometimes you just want to spend time. And I think for myself, I have become very guarded because so many people have taken my openness and used it against me or my innocence in some ways. Because, there is a certain, I wouldn't say I'm naive, but there are like certain parts of life that I just have not experienced and don't really care to. And so I think even in high school, like my parents were very strict. But also, there were things that I didn't even ask for permission to do. One, because I already knew the answer was going to be no. And two, part of me just didn't want to go because I knew the foolishness and shenanigans that could come with that. And I just didn't want to be roped into that. You know what I'm saying? And, it's all good. I think in high school, a lot of times people would, take me as like the goody two shoes or the, whatever. I was just like, I just don't want to do that because that's dumb. I'm going to get in trouble. like my parents will kill me. Like, yes, my window is right there to the side of the house. Yes, I could sneak out and nobody would ever know. But why would I take that risk for me to now come back and get cussed out? And, you know, like, why? Like, it's just, that didn't seem fun to me. Like, I just don't understand. I just much. Yeah. Well, for us, it was at the barn. But yeah, there was two. I'm trying to tell you, in the country, honey. When I tell you them barns and them houses out in the middle of nowhere with the lake in the back and stuff, that's where all the magic happened. And I knew nothing about the magic.
I didn't even know, but sometimes I didn't even know things were happening until the next day.
But that's, yes.
Like, I'm glad y'all left.
Wow. You know, but I think some people took advantage of that. And I did have someone that was a friend that took advantage of it. Like, she would kind of use me as a scapegoat for, you know, guys to come over and stuff like that. And in my mind, I'm like, you already know ain't nothing going down over here. Mm-hmm. Like, literally, nothing. And it's not even that I liked, you know, having a boyfriend and stuff like that. That was the one thing that I did probably in high school was sneak and had a boyfriend. My parents didn't know. But guess what happens when you live in a small town? People find out. And my mom ran into his dad because they coincidentally went to the same school. His mama's family was from the same county as my mama. And even though they're not even the same age, and then she knew that she was with that, you know, with his dad, but they didn't even know they were living in the same county.
Oh my goodness.
They didn't even know they were in the same city. And so his parents weren't together anymore. And so when his dad ran into my mom, it was like, oh, you're so-and-so. Oh, hey. And then once he figured out, oh, okay, you got married to so-and-so. Oh, okay, yeah. And then he goes, wait, you got married to who? And she was like, oh, you know. He was like, oh, that, because they found out that their kids were in the same grade. He said, that's whose number been coming up on my caller ID. Yes. And I was like, why did your daddy sell me out like that? But in his mind, he's thinking, oh, our kids must be friends because I've seen the name pop up on the caller ID. Not knowing, yes, we are friends. Boyfriend, girlfriends. But yes, we know each other very well. That's my boo. But you're not supposed to tell her that because she didn't know.
That's hilarious.
But that was literally it. That was it. That was my experience. Yay, woo, I did something bad. You know, I just didn't do stuff like that. I got taken advantage of so much. And when I met my best friend in college, it was like me and her was just like, okay. And we were literally probably unhealthily in some ways, which we've established that it was unhealthy in some ways. But we clung to each other because it was like we were each other's safe space. There was no judgment. There was no nothing. And it was like, you know, and then even when things happened in college and it was just so many things that it was like, she was my person. And that was the only person that understood me. And it even took a lot for Norman. Like, I was kind of giving him the side eye, but I knew he was a good guy, but I was just, okay, you know. And then once I established that, it was like I opened up the door for him and it was just like, okay, it's just the three of us. That's it. Like,
nobody else.
I just couldn't do it anymore. So the Lord is working on me and I think I'm going to let him continue because
it's scary because
it's very scary.
For me, because I'm a people person and for so long, I felt this need, this clinginess because I was manipulated a lot in my friendships because of how giving I was. I'm a very giving person. I will give the shirt off my back and not think twice about it. It doesn't even register that I'm giving. It's just who I am. And I get it from my dad naturally, as my dad is a giver and so am I. And so is my brother. And we just my mama she real particular. Her giving has ramifications and things.
That's how my dad is. My mom is definitely like.
She's definitely a giver.
Mary Poppins. She's
my mom stuff out of it. My mama is giving with her kids, but like other people, she got to know why, when, how much. My dad's not like that at all. And we get that from him, honestly. But I was manipulated for 5 years in a friendship. And my mom she couldn't stand that friendship. And then it happened a few more times in relationships in college where people took advantage of my good heart. And I'm not saying I'm perfect. I've definitely made mistakes, but I have a good heart. And it took me a while to be able to accept that about myself because it sounded like I was pumping myself up. That's just who I am. That's just genuinely who I am. I will give my shirt off to a stranger in the street and not think twice about it. And so I relate to that in so many ways. And then
I'm laughing because we just go to Family Dollar and get another one.
Yeah, go right up in there and get another one.
It's your favorite store.
I love me some Family Dollar. Love me some Family Dollar. But anyway, so I got to the point right before the pandemic where some drama had just happened and I was done. Because I was like, Lord, I keep getting these people brought into my life that I feel close to. And then for me, I was always finding out people was talking about me. And I'm like, but I thought, even to this day, I told you about it. To this day, I'm finding out about people who's supposed to be cool with me talking about me. And at this point, I'm like, I don't care about what you think. Because I'll talk to you anyway. And you ain't paying no bills. Now, if you want to come pay a couple of bills, you can say all you want to say. Other than that, I can care less. You know what I'm saying? And Cody used to always be like, babe, why you let this stuff get to you like this? Why are you so worked up about? Why do you I used to overanalyze everything. And so now, for me, I think the reason why it was so scary going into this friendship is because I didn't know what to expect. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what if I start feeling like I'm closer to her but she doesn't feel the same way? Mm-hmm. How do I handle that? Because I just got out of a situation. I know how I am. I can be overbearing at times. Let me help you. Because that's my love language, is acts of service. Let me help you. You know what I'm saying? I want to be there. I want to do. But the Lord taught me in this friendship how to be there and also respect boundaries. And I think that's why I'm so grateful, because I feel like I got to start over with this friendship, if that makes sense. Like I said, we've always been friends, but we've not been this close. Mm-hmm. And for the longest, I was staunch to the idea of, no, we're just friends and we're going to leave it at that. Because if I allowed myself to get to that point, that meant I got to deal with her possibly not feeling the same way.
And we're in business together. So then that could be a whole.
But there are so many healthy ways to be. There's a podcast that we watch that we both like to watch. They're best friends and they are business partners, and they've had open, like, full-blown conversations about difficulties in their friendship, and they've been friends for over 20 years, but they have shown that it can be done. And so the society will tell you how things may or may not work. Society will tell you these things, but you got to try and see it for yourself. Mm-hmm. And you have to trust and know that when God is in the midst of it, it's going to be good, So, but I didn't mean to pivot like that, but the Lord was telling me, I don't know, if you look back on the tape, you'll see my eyes I was listening to you, but I heard the Holy Spirit was talking to me. He's like, you need to say this. I'm like, I know her. She's going to try to get up and walk away.
Yes.
But I got to say it because, it is what it is. But I stand by what I said. I said what I said.
I
said what I said. And yeah, so you got to talk. You got to, and this may be the platform, but you got to do it. You got to do it.
I think
this ain't the only platform. You're going to be doing stuff by yourself. It ain't got nothing to do with me. But I said that to say you got too much in you, honey. People got to hear your story.
Yeah. That's a whole other episode. I guess we both could talk about our journeys and like how we got to where we are. Mm-hmm. But it's been a lot. I think naturally I am like my mom, but I have put up a barrier and I have become more like my dad. And I think I'm both of them equally, because I do enjoy being in my home and just it being, chill, like just don't, but I also do enjoy like the thought of having people over and stuff like that. Like our house, we always have people over there. But Lord Jesus. I think I naturally am because what I give people is me, but it's only a part of a portion of me. But I am naturally like a very like kind person. Like I enjoy being around people.
But I get to see that at center stage. When you're talking to the parents and we're doing stuff, you're like, oh yeah, like it's there when you're comfortable.
Yes.
But in a situation where you like, I don't know how these people go.
I shut down. I shut it off really quick. I know one of my friends has said it in one of the groups that we're in at church. Like, he's noticed it. And like sometimes certain conversations, if I have nothing to say, I'm just not going to say it. Like, I'm just get quiet. And I'm not quiet because I have an attitude. Some people get quiet like, I ain't just going to say nothing. I get quiet because I'm like, I have nothing positive to contribute to this, because anything I say is going to either shift the whole atmosphere of what we're talking about. If I don't have anything positive to say, I'm not going to say it. Now, if you ask me, then I'll try and think of a nice way to say it. But I don't know. But I want to get back to that part of me, because I know that is who I am. And I'm naturally a people person. My husband always talks about how I can't go to the store without talking to someone. And, it happens.
And we attract people.
We do.
I'm going to say this story and we're going to go ahead and end the podcast. Because so every Tuesday we go shopping for the summer camp. It's our schedule. We go get the things we need every Tuesday. And we were at Walmart.
Yep.
We had so many interactions with 3 or 4 different people.
Yes.
It was a lady at customer service who...
She was so sweet.
She talked to us for about 30 minutes. And I was like, yes, ma'am. She was so sweet, though. But she was sharing her story with her pregnancy because she thought that I was pregnant. We had a whole conversation about that. Then we left. We ran into somebody else. As Anna is putting stuff in the car. I'm sitting in the car drinking my water. Oh, I forgot about this. Okay, go ahead. There's this lady. I didn't even tell Cody about this. There's this lady.
I don't think I told Norman.
It was so funny. There was this lady on the side and she was going in. First of all, her son was having a meltdown. Her other kids were in the car and it was an older lady in the car with her. We at the time didn't know what the relation was. We assumed it was like her mother or something. So she's in the car with the other kids and the baby is literally in the shopping cart having a meltdown. Now we're outside in the parking lot. She's trying to get her son in the car. He is having he's yelling, he's screaming, he's crying. And she's trying to be gentle with him and talk. She's like, no. And then she was getting with him. You are not going to, she's going in. So me and Anna was like, okay, Mom, we was laughing. Get them together, Mama, So we in the car. And then finally the baby gets in the car. And then Anna was like, she better get him together. And I'm so enthralled in whatever I was doing because I was just trying to I think we had just gotten out of Walmart and my stomach, I was just looking down or something.
And I think you were seeing how much we had.
Oh, yeah, seeing how much we had, what our balance was. So Anna goes, oh, I'm like, what? She said, Tam, she's crying. And I was like, oh.
Because I think, after she got in the car.
Yes. Anna wrote down the window, said, you're doing a good job, Mama.
Because I could tell she was overwhelmed.
And she was like, thank you. And so Anna rolls the window back up and we continue. And then Anna looks over and she's got her hand mounted on the shopping cart. And she's just bawling, crying. And so Anna was like, oh, I said, go get her, go hug her. She's like, yes. So Anna hopped, because I can't get to her. I was going, by the time I got out, I would have been like, let me walk. So Anna hops off, goes over to, it would have been a whole situation. And like, what is she doing? What is that lady doing? Anna hops out, goes and grabs her and hugs her. And the lady just weeps. Now, I'm going to say this not to say that this had anything to do with it, but to make a point. This was a white lady. And in today's society, the way media paints the hatred between races is just so sad. But
in that moment,
it wasn't about...
She was a mom.
She was a mama. She was a mama. And she wasn't looking at us going, who them 2 black ladies talking to me? She welcomed Anna. Anna grabbed her and hugged her, and Anna had tears on her shirt. She bawled. She wept, and then I finally hobbled out the car after I got the balance, and I came with a napkin out of the median so she could wipe her face, because she was just water. And we literally talked to her for 10 minutes, and she just was opening up. She just went in and was just talking. She was like, it's so hard. She was like, I don't mind my kids being my kids, but when I feel like I have to keep them, this is an episode. We could do an episode on this. She was like, she was like, my mother-in-law is with me, and she was like, she can't stand them having, talking and playing and being loud. My husband wants them to be a certain way, and she says, I have to try to control them for them to be comfortable. Sure. She's like, I don't mind. These are my kids, And she's like, I'm trying to stop them from having meltdowns and
trying to control the children so the other adults can be comfortable.
And she was like, but I don't...
When it should be the other way around. The adults should be coming together to make sure the kids are good, not looking at you to be the person to make them.
And they're like, why aren't you getting them under control? And you could just feel the weight. And so that simple statement, you're doing a good job. And we just kind of talked to her. And Anna really let it. That go Thank you, Lord, for bringing it full circle. That's why Anna was the one that was talking. I was like, yep. Mm-hmm. And I was like, you. But Anna led the whole conversation. That's what I'm talking about. People need to hear your story. This random lady. But Anna just embraced her.
I identified because in my mind, I saw her and my son. Because I have gone through that same exact thing with him, to where you're trying to just talk them off of the ledge or off the shopping cart. And it just seems like you're talking to a brick wall because they are here and you're trying not to go here, but you're feeling it. And then it comes with the embarrassment of other people walking by and they're looking at you. And then people can be so judgy. And it's like they forget, you know, what it was like to be a parent. But then I also, in my mind, I'm like, no, they've never been that type of parent. So they don't identify
They don't
with
know
that.
what I'm dealing with.
They have no idea
hard.
what it's like to try and help your child to maintain their own emotions while holding yours and not just telling them to sit down and shut up. It's a completely different level of parenting. So they don't understand why she's going back and forth with him. But I'm trying to help him. Because if I just tell him to sit down and shut up and get in the car, all he's going to do is scream on the way home. And now I'm up here, you know, so now I'm snapping on any and everybody. And it's just not helpful. But it does take time and a lot of patience that most times you don't have.
You don't have it.
But I could just see it. It's almost like I could see it radiating off of her, like the steam on the ground. Like you could just
was bawling.
feel it.
And the lady was just sitting in the car. We found out later was her mother-in-law. Was just looking. She didn't get out and comfort her or nothing. And when we were talking, she was almost looking. Oh, it was almost like maybe I should have been doing that. No, since we got this,
it's over now. She get in the car.
She get in the car, and we told her we be praying for her, and she's like, "Thank y'all so much." Don't even know the lady name.
And she also said, when I said, you're doing a good job, she said, thank you. Now I'm going to go and cry. But I thought she was playing
Oh, she did say that.
Yeah, but I didn't think that she was literally about to turn around and cry. But then she said, I never hear anybody tell me that. Nobody ever tells me that I'm doing a good job. And I was just like, oh, Lord.
See?
It's hard.
That's why I done told you. I done told you. We need to end this up. I done told you. But anyway, on that note, we're going to end this episode.
Because I look a mess now.
No, you look fine. I promise.
Okay, thanks. Because this is not waterproof mascara or eyeliner.
No, it's still very much. I was about to ask you, it was on point today. They was out there. I said, okay, mascara. Yes.
Car mascara is the best.
It is
nothing against bathroom. But
when you can get it and do it, there's something about it.
Dry, I can be looking forward and be... I have mastered it. Norman be like, can you put on your makeup?
I hold my mirror when Cody be driving all the time, but I hold that mirror and I be doing them brows.
Once you know your face, you don't need it. I be driving like this. And Norman's looking at me like, did you need me to drive? I'm like, no.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, your skin looks airbrushed.
Oh,
yeah, I was like, I was looking at it. I was like, okay, yes. Mm-hmm. Come on, skin.
Okay, skin.
Yes. But anyway, Anna is past her time, her scheduled time.
Yes.
Oh, you real past your time.
It's okay. I'm going to be all right.
Jesus. We going to end the podcast. I feel bad now. Jesus.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
It's okay.
But we love y'all. And we will see y'all in the next episode. Once again, if you haven't already, I don't know what you're doing. Why you watch this whole episode and then hit subscribe, sis or bro. But go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Please. Like, comment, share. If this episode resonated with you, and you feel like there's some other people who could benefit from what our transparency, share this video as well and hit that bell notification so you can be notified of when our next videos come out. Yeah, do it. Okay. And we're going to see it. I was just thinking that in my head. Do it. So do it. Okay.
Bye.
All right, bye. We'll see you on the next episode.